to the channel and welcome back to Spooky Season. Today, a quick review for this. No, not the complete Sherlock Holmes. It is The Hound of the Baskervilles. Now, this is a novel that came out in 1901 by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. It was a serialised novel on release, so its format was, it was being released between 1901 and 1902 in sections, basically. So that does affect the novel a little bit, and I'll tell you about that in a second. Now, in this particular hard copy, it is 100 pages because it is massive. It's absolutely massive, this edition. Initially in paperback, it was kind of 240 to 250 pages. And in my word count, they came out about 70,000 words. It took me just over 2 days to read. It will take most people about a day of kind of hardcore reading because I am quite a slow reader. Now, it is obviously a novel in the crime and mystery kind of thriller genre, and it was quite a big deal back in the day, and it is still now. It's still considered a bit of a classic. So what's it about? So effectively, the Baskerville heirs are dying under strange, mysterious, and maybe even supernatural circumstances. That leads us to be paired up with Dr. Watson, who is the steadfast friend and agent of Sherlock Holmes, to try and help solve this case. Now, we ride along with Watson and we get a front row seat to the investigation and the interrogation of all of the local suspects. Now, you can mostly guess who's done it. You can see most of the twists coming, but there are a number of decent, high-quality red herrings along the way that kind of kept me on my toes. It is a wonderfully written novel. The prose in this is fantastic. I really feel there's a good sense of atmosphere in this novel, and there's a lot of good epithets that are used by Doyle. It's just, you really feel the novel as you read it, and it is my favourite prose so far of the three Sherlock Holmes novels that I have read. I think this is probably the best of the bunch. I will say though that the ending didn't really grab me. So there is a scene, a couple of chapters from the end of this book, where it will kind of pick up to a beautiful crescendo. The climax is there, the action, the thrills that you were expecting from this novel are being delivered, and then it kind of just fizzles out. It goes for a kind of a long kind of, you know, info dump style ending. It kind of fizzles out. We don't get a satisfying kind of closure to the story, really. It kind of just tells us a few things that kind of happened afterwards, and it just kind of ends. Now, I do believe that this was probably a problem with the serialized format of the novel. It was probably a case of, we need to kind of fill this out, or we need to kind of, we've got a deadline to try and get this most recent edition out, and we've just got to hit the deadline. And if that means that the kind of final installment suffers a little bit, at least, you know, it's out in time, people are satisfied that they've got the full story. So even though this is my favourite of the Sherlock Holmes novels I've read so far, it didn't really land for me. Not the way that I expected it. The promise of the early parts of the novel, and the great name that this novel has, I felt like it did fizzle out a little bit in the end. It is still a great novel. I'd recommend it still. I'd actually give it a 3.7 out of 5.